you've been here for spring practice, which, I know you'd have gotten acclimated already, but being out there between the lines, coaching on the grass, that's a whole different story. Tell us your experience coaching during spring practice, and has it, helped further the acclimation process?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can study all the film you want, and you can spend time in meetings, talking about plays, but until you're actually there, seeing it live and coaching it, a whole different world. The culture that has been created here by Coach Niemat and the staff here has been amazing. And so that's the part that people don't get to see. They see the Saturday afternoon stuff, but just to see how fast and how hard we practice is really a lot of fun to be a part of that.
So I know you're an offensive assistant and you don't have a particular position group. So during practice, what do you find yourself doing? I mean, kind of, tell us about your typical practice routine. Do you kind of wander around and look at different position groups, or do you stand close to Coach Jasper and talk ball and kind of maybe discuss what's happening? Because it is your first, spring practice with Navy, and, you get to see exactly how they run the first and second huddles and how they run a practice sequences. Tell me kind of what you've been doing during practices.
Yeah, what I do is a lot of the early part of the practice, I spend time with Ingram and O'Rourke and watching what they do and help them in the shoots and all the individual drills that they're doing. And then the rest of the practice, I'm involved in all the special teams. And then from that point, when we go to the team stuff, I'm basically helping get the scout team defense organized, as well as, just kind of seeing the perimeter stuff.
So, early, whatever conclusions as to how the Navy version of option, which has evolved in recent years, is different from what you were accustomed to at Air Force under Fisher.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I've seen is just the absolute fast the way that we practice. I mean, it'd be hard for me to see many people in this country that practice as fast as we do. Get a lot of quality reps. That part of it is something that I'm really having fun being a part of. The actual plays themselves aren't entirely different. The language is different. So, a cat was a tag and things like that, but it's almost like learning a new language. But really, for the most part, most of it is fairly consistent with what we were doing there.
You've competed against Navy. You've been a father for a Navy football player. What's it now like to be a coach at Navy?
One of the best feelings I've ever had in my life, Phil. It's been a real blessing to me. The way Coach Niemat has brought me into this program, and the way the staff has embraced me and some of the ideas that I brought. I can't imagine being in a better place. And it's been, as I said, a real blessing.
Watching tape from last season and also being there for spring ball, what's impressed you the most about this offensive group?
I think just the culture and how hard and how fast they play. I mentioned that a couple times. The confidence level that we're playing with this spring. Obviously, I wasn't a part of any of the practices last year, so my knowledge is really looking at it from the film that I've seen on video or the game tape that I watch. But I think we're way ahead of where at least I saw us on film last year.
And as you touched on, you're helping out with special teams a little, and your nephew, Bijan Nichols, is part of special teams. What's it like to get to coach with your nephew and be around Bijan every day?
It's pretty cool. Now, I will say this, I'm not coaching him. He didn't need a lot of coaching. We try to stay out of his way, but he's a tremendous kid and a lot of fun to be around. And it's really cool to have him and me on the same field. It's pretty neat.
Obviously, Coach Niemot and Coach Jasper have been very complimentary here in the early going of working with you and, hearing your thoughts on option football. Can you talk about the give and take back and forth that you all have enjoyed in the meeting rooms or just when sitting around talking ball about option? And I think one of the reasons you were brought in here was to maybe lend a new perspective, bring some outside ideas. Do you feel you've done that?
I think so, a little bit. First of all, I'll just say that I enjoy our offensive room about as well as more so than any room I've been in. We've got 7 guys that sit around that table every day, and there are no egos. You can throw an idea out and we discuss it and we massage it, and it either makes it or it doesn't. But the best thing that I've seen is just the egoless room that we have. And Ivan has been an unbelievable leader, and just love being a part of that process every day. I'm not going to say that I brought a ton, but I can promise you they brought a ton to me.
As you look ahead to next season and, what you've seen so far on the field as far as offensive parts, offensive line, quarterbacks, all the various skill position players, does it look like Navy has some pretty good parts to you, Chuck?
I think so. The thing that's impressed me, along with other things, is, I think we've created some depth this spring. We have a bunch of young guys that are very athletic. Our quarterback has stepped up and had a really good spring, not only physically, but mentally, and he's become a really good leader. I think we've had a good spring and looking forward to the work that they're going to put in this summer before we get to camp.
Well, that was my last question was going to be, you coach quarterbacks at Air Force. Ty Lavatai, he looked like he's developing into a pretty darn good option quarterback, and we've all heard about how much he's taken charge of the offense, how much more confident he is, how much more of a leader he is. But you've got a lot of experience with some pretty darn good option quarterbacks. I know the names you coached at Air Force were impressive. What do you think of Ty?
Oh, I love him. I think he's a great leader. He's a tough kid, which in this offense you have to be successful. I think he has a great amount of respect from our coaching staff and his teammates. And, he's won in arguably the biggest arena in college football. And if you listen to Roger Staubach, the Army-Navy game is a bigger game than the Super Bowls he played in. And so he's won that game and competes his tail off. So I'd line up and play with him any day.
Coach, you spent most of the last decade coaching high school players. How has this benefited and impacted your coaching style and just relating to this next generation of Gen Z players?
Yeah, it's probably a great question, Phil. I think it's helped me, but I think we all evolve. Whether I don't think I'm anywhere near as savvy as anybody else just because I've coached high school kids, but I do have maybe a different appreciation and maybe a different outlook on what they're going through day in and day out. I think where that may help me some is when I get out on the road and recruit, because I've been on the other end of that desk now where head coaches come in and talk to me about my players, and I've got a different perspective than maybe I did early in my career.
Especially from your time out west, you and Coach Niemot go back years. Do you have a favorite story or favorite memory with him?
The memory, one of my favorites just is the way he treated my own son. And that's why it makes this place so special for me to be back. Coach Niemot and this staff took care of Brady and helped him. My prayer when I sent him here was to put him in front of godly men that would help me raise him. And they stood in that gap. The whole academy did. And he's better for the 5 years he spent in this program, four as a player and one as a TAD. And I owe that as much to Coach Niamat and the staff as anybody. And as a dad, that's all I can ask for.
And just last for me, what's your son up to now?
You know, he is stationed in Camp Pendleton in Southern California, engaged to be married. He's in the infantry, the Marine Corps. He's a platoon commander right now. Currently, he's deployed to 29 Palms. They're in an exercise there and won't return until sometime in May. But he's marrying his sponsor's family's niece. He needed a lot of help, and we love Bridget, and they'll be getting married out in Baltimore on the 18th of June.